Hello, everybody. My name is Brittany Washington, and we are here for our modification workshop. I also will be showing progression. So, we're going to be taking you through basic movements that every workout usually encompasses, or at least for the most part, and we're going to show you progressions. We're also going to show you regressions or modifications for each basic movement. So I'm super excited about it. This is, for me, a wonderful, just reminder too. Even if it is for people that work out, it doesn't have to be just for beginners. It can be a reminder for people that may be a little bit more advanced, that can, just get a good reminder on what each progression and regression looks like. So especially if you're working with people that might be beginners in moving, and you're trying to encourage them and keep them pushing, this is also for you too, so you can assist other people along the way. All right, so with no further ado, we're going to actually start with our first exercise, which is going to be, we're going to start up and then we're going to just work our way down to the ground. So we're going to start off with your basic squat. Wow, your basic squat. And so your typical squat, you're going to be roughly shoulder width apart. You can turn the toes slightly out if you choose to. Again, try to figure out what feels most comfortable for your body to begin with. So your basic squat, you are pressing those hips back and down, keeping those heels connected to the ground, keeping that chest up. It should almost feel like you might fall back. You want to keep those feet nice and flat on the ground. Drop those hips as low as you can and pull it up. So side view. The target here, or the goal, again, is to keep that core engaged, push those hips back. For me, I kind of use a bit of a cue to help me shift my weight back. I sometimes curl my toes up, but to each his own on that one. Chest up, drop the hips. Okay, so that's your standard air squat. Now we are going to go to a regression first, a modification for your air squat. If you're not comfortable with dropping your hips back as far, one thing you can do, you can separate those feet a little bit wider to help you feel a little bit more stable. Just make sure those knees are staying in line with the toes. So if your knees go out, your toes go out. If your knees go forward, I said that backwards. If your toes go forward, your knees go forward. So either way, that is one modification. You can kind of separate those feet, and that will assist you, especially if you have tighter hips, to drop a little bit lower and potentially keep that chest up a little bit higher. Another modification I have is you can grab a chair and go for chair taps with your behind, with your rear, with your rump, whatever you want to call it, right? So chair taps. Separate, again, those feet roughly shoulder width apart. You're going to, or this is also called a functional squat, dropping those hips down. You can shift your weight to the back so you know that it's there, right? So you can stand it up, take it down, press through those heels as you come up. Or if you want to go for more of a tap, and a chair can also just be almost a little bit of a security blanket, right? Kind of helps you, makes you feel safe knowing that it's there. Same deal, tap it down, bring it up. Tap it down and bring it up. So that is a regression or modification for your standard air squat. Now we're taking it to a progression. If you want to add a little bit more of a cardio aspect of it, jump squats. We do a lot of these in these classes, or generally in workouts. It's a great way to get the heart rate up and to still work on a little bit of that strength and the power. All right, so jump squats. You're still setting those hips back down. Again, separate those feet about roughly shoulder width apart or a little bit outside. Drop those hips back and down as you come up. Push off those toes. Nice light landing back down. So you still want to focus on dropping those hips back and down as you land into that squat. If you have a hard time and you're not able to go for the jump, squat, calf raise. Squat, calf raise. And you can still keep it quick, so that the level changes will still keep your heart rate up fairly high. All right, next we're moving on to a lunge. All right, we're going to move it on to a lunge. This can oftentimes give a lot of people an issue. We're going to stick to a standard reverse lunge for this one. So I'm going to stand to the side. Your standard reverse lunge, you take a step back. The goal is to keep the shoulders back and down, a good strong posture, core engaged. You're going to focus on dropping that back knee to the ground. Front knee should be in line or with the toes. Your knee should not go over the toes. Front knee should be behind the toes. Take it down. You step it in. And these are alternating lunges. But if you also want to just go to a step back reverse lunge, that's what your standard lunge would look like. Now, let's go to a modification for your standard lunge, right? So we can do a static lunge, which just means your feet are staying in place and you're moving, again, going level changes up and down. So your static lunge, take a good step back. The weight should be in that front heel, this bad boy right here. Shoulders back and down, core engaged even here. So one of the things, again, try not to shift the weight into the toes. Your heel should not come off the ground here. That's going to really strain that knee joint. So static lunge, feet are apart and they stay apart. You're on your toes, slightly in the back, but majority of your weight should be in that front heel. You drop it down, you bring it up. You drop it down, you bring it up. All right, that's a bit of a modification if the movement of the lunge is a little too much, or the walking or the step backs or anything like that. Now you can also take it to your standard air squat, the one we just went over, as a bit of a modification, or even a narrow squat, knees in, feet inside, shoulder width apart. That's also a bit of a modification if you choose to. All right, so let's go to a bit of a progression for your lunges. We have a forward lunge. It's a bit of a, it's a little bit of a difference from your reverse lunge. You're going to step forward. This one's a little bit more challenging because your momentum's going forward. You have to control it a little bit better, or a little bit more than you would your back lunge. So this is a bit of a progression here, like so. And so again, you still want to make sure your knee is behind the toes, you're keeping that core nice and engaged, and your posture strong. Now, if you want to add more cardio, let me take you to a further progression on that. If you want to go for more cardio on your standard reverse lunges, you can also take it to either switch lunges. This is, again, a lot more intense, or static lunge jumps. Okay, so those are some great ways to turn up those modifications if you choose to. Moving on, let's go ahead and take it to our tricep dip. So we're going to need a bench or a chair or something sturdy, okay? A couple of ways to progress and regress your tricep dip. Your standard tricep dip is basically you're shifting your weight just off of, just off of the chair. Don't round your shoulders, pull the shoulders back and down. Good strong posture, core nice and engaged. You want your back to just about graze whatever surface your hands are on. So your fingertips are forward, your feet are flat. All right, I'm going to take it midway because your regression, I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. A bit of a regression, okay? So when you're taking it down to a tricep dip, you want to go for 90 degrees, roughly in those arms. Keep your body close to the chair, because if you're too far forward, it's going to strain those shoulders. Reel it in a little bit. Take it up and down. All right, so regression. Don't go as low. Take it to where your body can control it. That's a bit of a regression. Bring those feet in some more. Take it down. Bringing those feet in is going to assist in shifting some of that weight that's completely on those hands and into your feet. So your progression is completely the opposite. Extending those legs as far out as they can go, taking it like so. You can even add, for if you want a little bit more, single leg, or even hold a weight right above the knee joint, squeeze, and that works inner thigh at the same time, up and down. All right, so those are a bit of modifications. If that just hurts your wrists, then another modification to, if your target is triceps, are kickbacks, standing in place, holding weights on each side, fully extending, or even you can take it to overhead tricep extensions, okay? So those are just a couple of ways. If tricep dips are just not it for you, completely understandable. Take the pressure off your wrists and go for either those kickbacks, overhead extensions, like so. Okay, now let's go ahead and move it on. Since we're using the chair, we're going to take it to our planks and push-ups. We're going to kind of combine those two. All right, we're going to combine those together. We're almost done with our basic movements or general movements that every person should know a progression and a modification to. So our next one, we are utilizing the chair for planks and push-ups. So we're going to, again, kind of combine those two because they do really go hand in hand. Okay, because your push-up is essentially a moving plank. Okay? So let's get to it. Let's start off with the plank. And again, I'll just talk about the push-up while I talk about the plank. When you are looking for, let me show you a standard plank, which is typically on the ground. Your standard plank, neutral spine. Your hips should not be saggy. Your hips should not look like mountain peaks. Go ahead and bring those hips to a nice neutral line. Hands should be directly underneath the shoulders. I'll move my hair to the side so you can see my arms. All right? So this is what your standard plank should look like. Brace that core. Keep it nice and engaged. Modified plank. Same thing. You're just dropping those knees just to the ground. All right? That is it. Your hips stay forward. Your core stays nice and engaged. Your head is not looking up. You're looking at maybe about 5 or 6 inches in front of you. Nice neutral spine. Okay? So when it comes to, that's your standard plank. Push-up is the same deal. Down and up. All right? Chest down. Elbows should go back to about 45 degrees. They should not bow out to the sides. What I mean by that, your elbows should go back about 45 degrees. Your elbows should not bow out to the side to make it 90. No, ma'am, no, sir. Okay? Next, modifications. Let's go ahead and take it here. So knees down. Try not to shrug those shoulders up. Pull those shoulders back and down. You should feel those lats engage a little bit even here in pulling those shoulders back and down. Now, push up. Same deal, knees down. Drop that chest as best as you can, elbows back 45 degrees. Press through the palms as you stand or as you push it all the way up. One more time, all the way down. Core nice and engaged even here. Bring it up. Make sure your booty's not up in the air as you push up. All right? So a bit of a progression from your modified push-up. Single leg. Take one. You can put something a little bit softer under your knee if you need to. However, single leg. This is if you're ready to kind of start trying to practice for that full push-up, but you're not quite there yet. Boom, there you go. You can also do that. You can do that. And also, pretty much the same just with the plank, okay? So, or another way to progress this or modify this, if you're kind of ready to graduate from the knee push-ups, elevate your upper body. Instead of standing all the way up, elevate it just slightly off the ground using something a little bit lower. Then you can work your way up. Excuse me, I said that reverse. Starting a little bit higher, so even starting with something like a wall, then working your way lower, then working your way lower, then working your way lower. Okay, so that's a great way to progress to full plank or push-ups on the ground. So here we go, modified. Same deal, upper body is elevated, core nice and engaged. Bring it down, elbows back 45 degrees, and like so. So same in your plank. Single leg, a great way to progress. Keep that body nice and neutral. Same deal, okay? All right, so that's just a few progressions, modifications, regressions, all of those things for your plank and your push-up. If you want to turn up your push-up even more, if you're just like, first off, those push-ups are easy. Yeah, so, okay. Let's do that. You can take it to a decline push-up, decline plank. So your upper body, if you elevate it, will make it a little bit easier. If you elevate your feet higher, that makes it harder. So what I mean by that, elevate your feet, bring it down, bring it up. All right? This is if you are just the bee's knees, single leg, same deal. If you're just the bee's knees and you want to go for the gold, that is a great progression. All right, and or take it to single leg, single arm, anything that really address your stability. Definitely do that too. That's a great way. All right, guys, and last but not least, we have some core. We're going to stick with a standard sit-up, standard crunch type of situation, but we worked on a little bit of core, so this is just more of a segue into that. All right, so let's take it down to the ground. Your standard sit-up. That's what we're going to start with, and then we're going to regress and then progress, okay? Standard sit-up. All the way down. Feet nice and engaged. Feet nice and flat on the ground. You want to connect that lower back to the ground. Hands nice and light behind your head, okay? The goal is to not use your hands so much to pull you up because that's kind of cheating because it uses the momentum of the throw of your hands. So what you want to do, if you even need to bring those legs a little bit straighter. Usually the straighter your legs are, the easier it's going to help you get up. So if you're here, these are called roll-ups. You can do those. If your feet want to bend those feet and you want more of a challenge, you come up here, bring it back down, still connect that lower back to the ground as you descend and as your back's on the ground. Roll those shoulders, feet flat, come up. Now, progressions. If you start to feel kind of a ting or something in your lower back, go on and stick with some crunches. Feet flat. That's about, you stop about halfway. You still want a good curl, so not any small range of motion. Give it a good curl, rounding those shoulders as best you can off the ground, keeping that lower back connected, really pushing yourself on trying to get your back off the ground as best as possible. That's a great crunch there, getting some good range of motion. So not just going here. No, work for that. Still try to get that chest to the knee. Now, let's talk about some, also, an assisted sit-up. So if you want a little bit more than a crunch, but you're not quite there for your full sit-up, you can take it to an assisted sit-up. So you're going to lean back a little bit and just try to put not as much weight in your hand. You can even kind of take it to a single leg, bring it here, or feet flat. Use your hands a little bit or palms a little bit to kind of help you sit up, okay? That's a little bit more of, that's a pretty significant modification, but if you absolutely need it, I would recommend going for it. You can absolutely even do it in a chair if you're not quite ready to get all the way on the ground yet. So I'll show you that in just a moment. That'll be the last thing I show you because I should have showed you before I got down to the ground. So now modification or progressions. Instead of the full sit-up, you can take it to even a single leg sit-up or even a single leg V-up, excuse me. So what that looks like, hands, straight leg, single leg, all the way up, all the way down. That's a good modification. You're really feeling froggy. You see how tough that was? You can keep those hands by your side. It's a balancing act too, up and down. Took me a second to find my center, but once you do that, that's also a great challenge. If you're not quite ready to keep those hands behind your head, you can take it to more of a single leg, stretch out those arms, but again, don't use those arms to swing you up. Use that core, use those muscles. All right, so that was the last progression. Let me show you for those, again, who are not quite ready to take it all the way to the ground. You can use a chair, you can use a box, something sturdy, an ottoman, as long as it's sturdy. And so again, if you're not quite ready to get all the way on the ground, start off high, work your way down. So same deal here. Sit on the edge of your chair. Again, you can grab onto something. Again, if you need a little bit more of assistance, keep those knees down if you need it. Sit it back, come up. Try not to round those shoulders. Still keep those shoulders back. Bring it up. Now, same deal. Here, full leg, full leg. Okay? So that's it, guys. That's it for my progression or modification workshop, rather. Again, incorporating some progressions as well. Hopefully this helped you guys. We just stuck with basic movements today that everybody should be used to or should know when it comes to working out and working out with classes. All right, so thank you so much. Hopefully this was informative. Hopefully this helped somebody. My name is Brittany Washington. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you, guys. See you next time.